What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I'm out here in the shop tonight. I got my dad's old trailer here, utility trailer he built about 30 something years ago. I'm going to walk around it, show you what we're going to be doing to it. We're going to basically be refurbishing this thing and fixing all the problems with it. He went over last month, I believe it was, and he got some new tires, some lowboy style tires here. That's what this thing takes. And he put some new tires on it. He packed all the bearings and everything. We went through and refurbished this thing about 15 years ago and put new boards and everything on it. As I say, he originally built it about 30 years ago, and he kind of built it with the cross members spaced pretty far apart. They're on 3-foot centers, as you can tell there. And it originally had an 1.25 inch pipe top rail. And when he originally built it, he built this to haul a race car on, I believe. And he had rough cut 2x on, instead of these 1.5 inch thick ones or whatever they are, store-bought ones here. And so it held up a little better to the span in between there. Anyway, these are store-bought pressure-treated tuba tins that's on there now. And they've been on there probably 14 or 15 years. And they're in decent shape on the front part. The back part here has been broke all up. About 5 years ago, my dad was going to get some firewood. And the guy on the skidder told him he would load it for him. Instead of cutting it all up and loading it in blocks, the guy told him he would load the whole log, a 16-foot log on here. And instead of the guy taking the grapple of the skidder and, you know, getting behind it and setting the log on the ground and then turning around and pushing it on there with a blade, the guy backed up with the grapple right here, set it down, opened the grapple up, broke just like every board all the way across the trailer. And we kind of think he did it on purpose because, I mean, surely he had better sense than that. I think he wanted the firewood and he did it on purpose because he specifically picked right between the cross members, right where he, like, you know, he knew that was going to do the most damage. But anyway, so we threw some scrap plywood and OSB across it to cover it up, and that's what's been on there about the past 5 years. Anyway, the OSB is about rotten. I took my tractor and broke this loose a while ago. That would be easier to get off of there. We're going to replace all these boards here, and this top rail, thinking about replacing it too. The wells have broke right here on each side, and I'm thinking about trying to figure out how to get that top rail to come outside of the frame here a little bit. As you see how it's done, you lose a little bit of deck space here, clearance between your fenders. I think it would be better if we could get something on top of the fender, but the problem is the rail right here is not built tall enough to get something on top of the fender. But we may be able to do it with some angle iron or something. Some angle iron would sit here and come out this way and go right across the fender, and the inside of the angle go down beside the fender and wouldn't lose but about 1/4 inch on each side. So that may be something we look at doing. He's got his winch and everything set up here. Don't really like how he's got that done there because it sticks out too far, but it seems to work for him, so we're probably not going to mess with that. The tongue and everything, when he built it, that's a pretty strong design. We've never had any issue with any of that stuff right there, the way the tongue is designed on it. It's got a 2-inch bulldog coupler on it, and I think it's a 4-foot length. Never had any issue with that. Real strong design, the way he did that and tied that 45 brace back into this top rail here. So the only problems we've ever had with it has been the top rail not being big enough. This is 1.5 inch pipe. It was originally 1.25 inch. Neither one of them is big enough, and the spacing in between the boards is a little bit much for certain things. We've hauled a lot of stuff on this trailer. We use it mainly now for hauling scrap iron and stuff, just general utility usage. So we're going to get this thing fixed up, and I guess I'm going to start by getting all these boards here off of here so I can see what we're working with, and kind of go from there. I think we're also going to do something with these lights here. These are the old 4-inch round Peterson lights. He put them in pipe like that so that they wouldn't get broke, which worked pretty good, but there's better lights now. I don't think you can get an LED light that'll go in here, so we're probably going to redo something there. And I'm kind of thinking on these top rail here, on this top rail, instead of having this angled down from the back of the fender here, which works good for vehicles and stuff. Say if you need to load something up a little wider, like a dually or race car, that sort of stuff, it's wider in the back, you can kind of let it run up that rail right there. But for hauling scrap iron, it makes it difficult if you want to put sides on the trailer. It makes it difficult to do anything with that because you don't have anything back here on the back to secure anything to. Also the license plate right there, we need a new location for that because that one's tore all to pieces. We're going to have to get a new license plate put on there. And we're going to check out all the wiring and stuff because sometimes the lights work and sometimes they don't. It does have one brake axle. This front axle right here is a brake axle, so it does have electric brakes on it. Whenever we redid the trailer 14 or 15 years ago, we put all new suspension hangers up under there, so all that's good. So even though I don't really care for these lowboy style or mobile home style, whatever you want to call them, Dayton style wheels, everything's in good shape on it, so there's no point in messing with that right now. As I say, he just put a brand new set of tires on it, lowboy style tires, about a month ago. Repacked all the bearings. I had to replace a couple of them. He said the suspension's good, so we're not going to mess with the suspension. And the fenders, I'm not sure, they're a little dented up, but for hauling scrap iron stuff, it doesn't really do a whole lot of good to put new fenders on there, so we may not do that either. Well, I guess let's start getting this stuff off of here. I don't know what I'm going to do with all this mess. I'm going to have a big pile of stuff to do something with here. This part, all off. About falling apart. Not much good anymore. Did hold up for quite a while though. I think the rest of that may come up. Alright, so now you can get a little better look at it at what that guy on the skidder did with the grapple. And you can see how far the cross members are apart. Which that worked fine for, as I say, what he built it for, hauling a race car and stuff. That's really light. You know, never had an issue with that. But for certain things, hauling tractors and equipment and stuff, you really want your cross members a good bit closer together than that. So I'm going to talk to him and see what he wants to do and kind of get a plan and see what we want to do with this thing. So we got these boards secured on there with carriage bolts, and I think there's 6 bolts in each board on the ends and then in the middle right here. So there's 6 bolts per board. So I'm going to get up under there and we're going to take all these bolts off. Hopefully they'll come out without you know, the bolt turning in the board. If not, we'll just have to cut them out. All right, guys, I've got all the bolts loose, or the nuts off the bottom that will come loose. There's some of them that will not come loose, but I'm just going to have to break them off and then cut the bolts off with a Matabo or something. But I've got this winch. So let me get this winch here, see if I can get this out of here. This thing here is one of those winches that you need two people to pick up. It's one of them old worn winches. And it's built on a frame that's made out of 1/2-inch plate also. Let's see what we do with this now. You put that foot on there so that you could be able to slide it out and not have to hold it up when you line it up in there, along with relieving some of the stress off the tongue or off the top rail. Let's see now. Yeah, buddy. Jesus. That thing right there now, I guarantee it's 150 pounds at least. Let's see what kind of luck we have getting these boards to come loose now. I've got this big bar here, tamping bar. Alright guys, got all the boards ripped off of it. I'm going to go ahead and cut this top rail off. I finally figured out what I'm going to do here. I'll whack this off, cut it loose from the fenders back here. Hopefully we can save these fenders because they're about $100 a piece, is what the price is I'm seeing. And don't really want to buy any. They're just going to get destroyed again anyways. So hopefully I can cut that loose without messing them up too bad. And I want to get, I priced some drill stem, just like this right here, 2 7/8, and I want to use that for a top rail, and I think I figured out how to do it. And that's the strongest way, and it's the cheapest way, because the steel yard I called told me they had some used 30-foot joints of drill stem, 2 7/8 drill stem, for about $50 a joint, which is a little bit high really, because it's usually about 30, 35, but anyway, this place is kind of known for being a little high, but they're close, so that's not too bad. But I figured out I can go with some 3-inch angle, which I priced. It's about $100 a joint now for 3-inch 3x3x1/4 angle, and I can put a piece of 3-inch angle iron right here and stop the top of it about right here, have it coat like this, set that pipe right here. I got a piece over here I'll show you. This is just a short piece here for demonstration purposes, but I can set this up here on the outside of that right there, kind of like that, on top of the angle I'm going to put there, and the rail will be outside the one that's there, as you see. And what that'll do is it'll bring this down here so that the pipe will go on top of the fender like that right there, so that you do not lose your inside of your trailer between the fender width like we are now. And the pipe will set right across there like that right there, so it'll be higher, it'll be a taller wall here, sidewall, and you won't lose your clinch there. And then what I'm going to do is, I think, take 3-inch angle and come up with 3-inch angle to support this with off of the side of this bottom pipe right here. And so I should be able to get, I think I figured it up about 3 joints, 3 30-foot joints of that pipe, and 1 joint of 20-foot 3x3x1/4 angle. So $250 or so, plus tax of course, and then I've had to get some other stuff as well. I really need to pick up a piece of pipe to put these wires in. These wires, you always have problems when you don't put your wires to your trailer lights and a piece of pipe or something to protect them. You always have problems with them getting cut and pinched and hanging on stuff. This is the wire to the electric brakes right there. So this stuff needs to be inside of a piece of pipe. So need to figure out something on that. And so that's what I got in mind right now. I'm gonna call it a night for right now, and we'll get back on this in a day or so. All right guys, so I've got the top rail cut off of this side here. I've got most everything cut off on the other side. I ran out of cutoff wheels from a grinder over there. So I'm going to have to do some carbon arc gouging. Was going to have to do that anyway. For those of you who don't know what that is, this is a setup right here. This hooks up to your welding machine. You have a carbon gouging rod, hooks up to your air compressor. You have those little jets down in there, right there, that blows the air across and blows it. Whenever it melts, the welding machine melts it, the air blows the molten metal out of the way. So it's got a little thing right here. For those of you who've never seen this, welding machine clamps on right there. Your air hose hooks up right there. It is a very hot and loud process. I'll film just a little bit of it for you guys who've never seen that before, but it's not really fun. But that's what's required to get this stuff here off of here. It's the easiest way to do it. I've got to get this here where I cut these off. We're going to remove these well right here on these tail lights. Get that off. Going to put some new tail light housings and tail lights on there, some LEDs. Get this rail here cut off, finish cutting off, and hopefully I can get that fender over there cut off of that one without melting it too bad. I did this one with the Mataba wheel, cutoff wheel on a grinder. It didn't turn out too bad. I got into it a little bit, but that won't be no big deal. So I just got to go along and everywhere where this rail was mounted at, clean this weld up here and get everything ready to install the new rail and the floor and everything. So just a bunch of prep work. It's going to take several hours to do. So I'll film just a bit of it, and then we'll do some moving magic and fast forward to we'll be done with that. Alright guys, so I've got everything cut off of there, as you can see here. Having a little problem seeing there at the last, the auto darkening helmet that I got, it flashed my eyes a couple times. It's better to use a fixed shade helmet when you're doing carbon arc gouging. Certain way, you lean your head and stuff, and had it set on about 300 amps, the machine on about 300 amps, and it flashed me a couple times. I couldn't see. Wound up getting into the fender over there. It's not a big deal. That fender's beat to pieces anyway. It'll still do the job of a fender. But got all that cut loose. Don't look quite as well as this side I did with the cut-off wheels. But I got to go along and take a cut-off disc or grinding disc, slick this up. But I got a whole lot of it removed there. I had to cut the caps off of this right here because there will be a piece of either square tubing or angle that comes up beside here, and that top rail is going to sit on top of it and run across the top of the fenders there. If you notice, I got this thing sitting on jack stands in the back, and I got the jack up here jacked up, and this frame was bowed the other way a little bit, and now it's bowed this way. That top rail being broke loose right here, it wasn't big enough to start with, and the frame flexing is what broke that loose. That's why we're putting a bigger top rail on here. This lower rail doesn't have a whole lot of strength without a top rail on it and being tied together the way this trailer is built. So anyway, I've got to get that. I see I've got a little bit too much picked up in the back now that I got the top rail off of it, and the frame has kind of got a little swag in it. So I got to get that set level and everything before I put the top rail on it and start welding it top to bottom, getting the braces in there and getting it all tied together. But we got everything all cut off of there with the carbon arc gouging process. Just going to go along now and take the grinding wheel and then take a flat disc, clean everything up a little bit, just to slag, knock the slag and stuff off, get everything cleaned up, and get ready to put some new top rail on it. So my original plan was to make this video into one long video on this trailer project, but unfortunately I started this trailer project a couple of weeks before I bought the dozer. I wasn't planning on buying a dozer, and anyway, so I got the dozer, and the dozer project got put in front of this, and so this has got long and drawn out, and so I'm going to go ahead and edit this footage and just make this maybe a 2 or 3 part series, because it was going to be quite a long video anyway. So I'm going to break it up, and it'll be a couple different videos on this project when we get this trailer finished up. So anyway, thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video.